The elevator lurched to a stop between floors 47 and 48, and Margaret Chen knew her career was over. Not because of the mechanical failure, though being trapped in Pinnacle Tower's express elevator was inconvenient enough. No, her career was ending because of the 8-year-old boy sitting cross-legged on the polished floor, calmly drawing in a coloring book while the most powerful man in the city paced like a caged animal 3 feet away. "This is unacceptable," Richard Blackstone muttered, jabbing the emergency button for the 15th time. The CEO of Blackstone Industries wore his fury like an expensive suit, tailored, imposing, and completely natural on him. "I have a merger signing in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, Margaret. Do you understand what that means?" Margaret understood perfectly. She'd been Blackstone's executive secretary for 3 years, orchestrating his life down to the minute. The Yamamoto deal would make him the youngest billionaire in the state. Without it, his company would hemorrhage money faster than a punctured artery. She also understood that the boy, Jamie, according to his hospital bracelet, shouldn't be here at all. "Mr. Blackstone," she said carefully, "perhaps we should call." "I've called everyone." He whirled toward her, his face flushed. "Maintenance, security, the fire department. The backup generator failed. The emergency protocols failed. Everything has failed except my need to be upstairs, signing the most important contract of my life." Jamie looked up from his coloring book. "Are you angry because you're scared?" The question hung in the recycled air like a challenge. Blackstone stopped pacing, his mouth slightly open. Margaret felt her breath catch. "I'm not scared," Blackstone said, his voice dangerously quiet. "I'm frustrated. There's a difference." "My mommy says people get angry when they're scared," Jamie continued, selecting a red crayon. "She says it's okay to be scared sometimes." Margaret watched her boss's face cycle through emotions. Irritation, confusion, something that might have been pain. She'd seen Richard Blackstone destroy competitors, fire executives, and negotiate billion-dollar deals without blinking. She'd never seen him rendered speechless by a child. The elevator interior is dimly lit, with Margaret Chen standing near the control panel, looking worried. "Where is your mother?" Margaret asked gently, kneeling beside Jamie. "Surgery," he said without looking up. "The doctors said it would take a long time. I was supposed to wait in a room, but I got bored. I found an elevator and pressed all the buttons. It was fun until it stopped." Margaret's heart clenched. She glanced at Blackstone, who had gone very still. "What kind of surgery?" Blackstone asked. "The kind where they try to make her better," Jamie said with a matter-of-fact tone that children use for the most devastating truths. "But sometimes people don't get better. Sometimes they go away forever." The elevator creaked around them. Margaret realized she was holding her breath. "Your mother." Blackstone sat down heavily in the corner, his $1,000 suit wrinkling against the floor. "She's very sick." "Very sick," Jamie confirmed, now coloring what appeared to be a dragon. "That's why we came to this special hospital. We sold our house and everything. Mommy said some things are more important than money." Blackstone flinched as if he'd been slapped. Margaret had worked for Richard Blackstone long enough to know his story. Orphaned at 12, raised by an aunt who saw him as a burden, he'd built his fortune through sheer will and the belief that money could solve any problem. She'd watched him write charity checks with the same emotional investment as paying utility bills. She'd never seen him cry. "I used to be scared," Blackstone said quietly, "when I was about your age. I lived with my aunt after my parents died, and she used to lock me in the basement when I made noise. It was dark down there. Very dark." Jamie, stop coloring. "That sounds scary." "It was. And I promised myself I'd never be scared again. I'd never be powerless again." "But you're scared now," Jamie said with devastating clarity. "About your meeting." Margaret watched her boss, the man who'd once fired an entire department before lunch, reach over and gently touch Jamie's drawing. "That's a beautiful dragon," he said. "It's for my mommy. Dragons are protectors. The doctor said she needs all the protection she can get." The elevator shuddered, and suddenly the lights flickered back on. The car began to move upward with a gentle hum. "We're moving again," Margaret said, but neither of them seemed to notice. "Jamie," Blackstone said, standing as they reached the pediatric floor. "What's your mother's name?" "Sarah Chen," Jamie said, gathering his crayons. "She's in room 4B. Margaret's breath caught. Chen, the same last name as her own. "My sister," she whispered, understanding flooding through her. "Jamie, I'm Margaret. Your Aunt Margaret." The elevator doors opened to reveal a chaos of medical personnel and security guards. But Margaret barely noticed. She was staring at her nephew, the boy she'd never met because of a family argument years ago, a stupid fight about money and pride that had cost them all so much time. "Mr. Blackstone," she said as they stepped out, "the merger." "Well, wait," he said firmly. Then, to Jamie, "Would you like to show me your mother's room? I think I'd like to meet her." As they walked down the hospital corridor, the billionaire CEO, the secretary, and the 8-year-old boy with a dragon drawing, Margaret realized that sometimes the most important contracts aren't signed in boardrooms. Sometimes they're written in the space between floors, in the quiet moments when we remember that the most valuable things in life can't be bought, sold, or negotiated. They can only be given freely, one human heart to another. The merger could wait. Family couldn't.